Come on. I'm taking forever. Oh, that had to be like 5 seconds. I see that Twitch has once again re-added quick actions to my overview page. Make sure that it's as big as possible. You never know when I'm going to want to run an ad break. I really want to put this somewhere stupid. Just get rid of it. But unfortunately, I can't. They don't let me. That's the one thing they don't let me move. Why can't I just like... Oh, I can. I just can't move it to the left? I don't know what's going on. Twitch is really weird about how it lets you rearrange your dashboard. But I'll give you a hint. I do not care about quick actions. I would literally prefer to see nothing. All right. So today we're going to work on some game stuff. We're going to try and build some game elements. And I got no idea what I'm doing. So let's tell the world. Trying to build the game parts of the game. I just ate, so I'm nice and sleepy. It should be a good thing for us to be in the mood for, right? It's just whenever you want to do something new that you don't know how to do, it's best to be as sleepy as possible. So the basic idea today is we're going to create some gates that activate as you move through them. And I think we're going to start by creating some kind of gate. And we'll just use cubes for it, right? So drop in a cube here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to transform this cube into a blueprint. Can't remember which of these is correct. It's either child actors or harvest component. I think child actors is correct. Some of them just don't work. They're like they play some role I don't understand. Anyway, let's just make sure that this is going to work. Hey, look, it moves, therefore it works. So what we're going to do is we're just going to build a gateway here. No reason to worry about it too much. All we have to do is move this cube off to the side here. Snapping isn't turned on. Let's turn snapping on and try again. There we go. And then we will just scale it up. And then we'll copy paste it. And we might have to make it wider. We'll work it out. And then what we want is something that happens when you move through the middle. So we're going to have to add in a collision element, but I don't know what they're called. This is the first time I've had to use them in Unreal. It should be fairly straightforward. Yeah, box collision. There it is. Boom. So we'll just make that box collision the right size. I think it's like 1,000. Yeah. Shaboom, like that. Perfect. And then we're going to want this to trigger something when it is collided with. Now, I believe that we can do that in the event graph. But let's put something in here that it can actually like tweak and trigger. And we'll just use a light for now, a point light. We'll just move it up from the ground a little bit and then give it a nice fat high radius and a nice fat intensity. Where's our radius? There it is. So just beef that up because we're working with mechs and they're quite big. And we will make that light color blue because you know that you've gone through it now. Perfect. The key here, of course, is that it starts off. I guess that's something we do in the event graph. Can I not turn off the object? Well, we'll find out. We'll go ahead over to the event graph here and take a look. So we've got begin play, and for begin play, what we're going to do is we are going to just set this light's onness, if we can figure out how to do that. So it's under... We could set the intensity to 0. Visibility? Yeah, visibility. Set visibility. That sounds fine. I'm not actually sure if this will turn off the light. We'll find out. There we are. So what we then need to do is create an event based on our collider here, our box collider. I don't know how to do that. Collision. Do I want to look at collisions under variables? Is that activation? Collision. None of these seem to be events. Maybe I have to set it up in the box here. So that's turned off. That should be fine. Here we are. Should hit events fire when this object collides during physics simulation. Generate overlap events. It will generate an event for blueprints or code. Where? What kind of event? Hit event or an overlap event. All right, well, let's take a look. Add event. Okay. So add event is its own, like, part of this setup. I didn't realize... Okay, so I didn't realize there was an entire, like, add events system. Did I miss that somehow? It doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and add that overlap. So what we're going to want to do here is we are going to want to limit it to the player, but we'll do that later. For now, we're just going to want to fire an event and see what happens. So cut, paste. Doop. There we go. And we're just sort of working with it right now. We're going to just try it out and see if it works at all. So there we go. We got ourselves a gate. It's nothing special. It doesn't have to be anything special right now. And we'll just put it here and hit play and see what's up. So you can see the light is currently off. That's correct. And boom, the light turned on. Very exciting news, I'm sure you'll agree. Obviously, it needs a lot of work, but what I'm trying to do right now is just get the functionality down because I don't actually know how to do that. So here's the question. If I want to have a sequence of gates, what I would like to have happen is each gate should come on after the previous gate is set up. And I believe the easiest way to do that is going to be to add a variable to this to allow it to link to the next gate. So first off, let's go ahead and create a ready gate and a ready variable and all that jazz here. So we'll go ahead and add a variable. We'll call this ready. And the Boolean is fine. And we're going to want to make that surfaced. There we go. Then we're going to go ahead and add in another variable, which we're going to call next gate. And we're going to want that one to be something a little bit more complicated. I should name this something other than cube blueprint because I'm getting a little confused. Can I rename it here? Alright, so hold on. Let's save this, close this, find the cube blueprint. It's in animations because I'm not very bright. Call this gate blueprint. And now that it's the gate blueprint, will I have an easier time finding the object? Gate blueprint. There we go. So now we have a fun little variable set up here. It apparently lets me select events. So I could like make an event where if the previous gate does something, this gate automatically fires. That's interesting. So I can backwards propagate. I'm not sure. So if we add an event dispatcher, we're going to go ahead and call this gate passed. And gate passed Why is it passing an integer? Is that an integer or an empty? Okay, it's not a 0, it's an empty bracket. Okay, that's fine. I don't want it to pass anything. So if we go over to next gate, we should now have a gate passed. See that? Interesting, interesting. Pink Air stopped in. Hello. I'm sort of figuring out how to wire things together. And I'm trying to, I have this variable I've created called next gate, and this is a series of gates. And I was expecting that I would try and trigger the next gate during the event that I needed, the player passing event. But it looks like I might be able to do the opposite and have like a previous gate set up where the next gate is automatically triggered by the previous gate. How do we trigger this event call? There we go. So if I come over here to this, boom, call gate passed. There we go. So if we call the gate passed, then over here, when the next gate, let's rename it to previous gate. There we are. When the previous gate goes off, then we become ready. So we're going to set the variable that we want to pass, ready. Set ready. We're going to want to turn on the ready light, which doesn't exist yet. Let's go ahead and put it in. So we'll name this the done light. Passed light, whatever. And then this will be the ready light. We'll make this yellow. And over here in our event graph, don't need this, don't need this. So here in our event begin play, we turn off this set visibility. And what we're going to want to do is have the same thing for the other one, the ready light. But the new visibility is going to be whether or not we're ready. There we go. So that means that we'll have a gate that's ready right at the beginning, and that will glow yellow. But all the rest of the gates, we're going to want to set this when we are ready. See? Might as well. Why not? So what that means is that we should be able to set that up to be ready to go. And down here in the overlap, we're going to want to have the overlap only do this set visibility and call gate passed if we are ready. So we actually have to set up a ready check here. Is there an if? There should just be an if, right? If If no, okay, that's why is there no if? Branch. Okay, so it's called branch rather than if. Interesting choice. There we go. And this is not too complicated, but it's already getting a little bit kludgy. So we're going to go ahead and pull the ready light in separately here. And put this in separately so that we can... Interesting. Why can both of those be the target? That's interesting. I didn't realize we could do that. That's... How do you delete this line? Whatever. So, basically we'll separate them out into their own separate little sections instead of having spaghetti. And we'll do the same thing here. So, past light. There. Let's see if it works. So in order to check if it works, we're going to need two gates, and they're going to need to be related to each other. So here's gate number 1. So complicated. How do I go over there? There we are. Cut and paste to move this gate. This is going to be gate number 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this gate up with some values. Previous gate. It's still called Cube Blueprint. That's weird. I guess the name didn't change. So that one's going to be there. And then for the first one, I just set it to itself. Damn it. Okay, so we can't drag it? What's up with that? Okay. I thought I could drag it, but when I clicked, it selected the other object instead of allowing me to drag it. So we're going to clear that and mark it as ready instead. So in theory, what light color... I hate this. What light color box do you think I'm editing? One in here? I don't see one. Do you see one? Did I accidentally click off of a light and at some point you decided that meant that fuck you, you should crash? What color light? The fuck? This is the only thing that really pisses me off about Unreal. It can leave operations open, modal operations open, even if the window is gone. And as far as I know, the only way to fix it is to literally quit out of the entire system and then start it up again. So, gonna reboot Unreal because fuck you. How can I still be editing light if there's no light editing involved? It just is the dumbest shit. Thank you, and fuck you. Alright, so here we go. You can see that this one is yellow. You can see the first one is yellow, and the other one is not on at all. I really shouldn't be doing it directly over this hole, because this hole's kind of annoying. I should just move the player, I guess. Let's try it out here. Beep. Works great. That wasn't hard at all. Beep. Cool. Now the other test is first what happens if I move the player character to someplace very less random. Where are they? Nope. Too low. Try that again. Pinker says, I guess this is what happens when you make your editing tool inside your game engine. Well, I don't understand it. Obviously, having a separate IDE from the game engine is an interesting topic. I can't say that I agree that this is something that seems reasonable. All I really need is for them to fix basic usability issues. Like, oh, if you were editing a light and you click the wrong button, your entire game will be completely crashed forever. You won't be able to run it at all until you completely reboot Unreal. That seems like a no-brainer for a fix. And I guarantee you, if I go out into the big wild yonder, and I'm like, hey, I've got this problem with Unreal, some Unreal person's going to come back and say, well, you just shouldn't do that. Because that's exactly what they said when I said, hey, is there any way to actually have an event, a local variable in any of these chains of events? Because, that would really help clean up this spaghetti mess. And they're like, no, it's equivalent, so therefore it's fine. It's like, no, it's not equivalent because I'm not a machine. Oh, well. There is no software that I cannot complain about. Now, the only problem I've got with this is that it's going to be really a pain in the ass to set these up because they don't automatically link. That said, I think it's going to be okay because we're never going to have more than like maybe 6 of these per level. It's not that big a deal. So I'm going to be okay with manually configuring them, I guess. We do have to make them look a little bit better. Pink Air says that basic usability issues don't make for big, splashy press releases. Well, that's the thing. The one thing Unity does do is they do big, splashy press releases about basic usability issues. And that was, if you look at Unity's release notes, it's like, we fixed this one bug, hooray! And some people think like, oh, that's not very big. And then everyone else is like, finally, a machine will stop crashing all the time. Because usability is what it's about. It's literally supposed to be an entirely, users use it. That's why it exists. So if it can't be used right, you're gonna catch a lot of flack. But I've already said that I wouldn't recommend Unreal for your first game engine. I would strongly recommend that you learn something else first. Probably not Unity. Probably Game Maker. I like Game Maker well enough. And Pinker says that Unity's biggest releases are smaller than Unreal's small ones. Yeah, I can't argue with that. The last Unity release that was big was when they changed their entire UI system out. Since then, it's basically just been them telling us how they're sabotaging their rendering pipeline. Yeah, that's how I want it to be. So you can already see the sort of vague idea of how this game is going to work. The basic idea is that you're going to have to hit all of these poles, all these gates. But you don't have to go all the way around if you don't want to. You can, in fact, take a shortcut. No reason to worry about it. Of course, we don't have any penalty for running out of balance at this point, so we're just running around like a turkey cut off with our head cut off the whole time, and that's just because we haven't finished the the gameplay yet. Let's add a couple more gates. I think that this level only needs 3 gates. But I think we're going to need to create an actual gate sculpt, a gate mesh that we're proud of here. So first off, let's set this up so that it's a little bit less. There we are. And if we were to go backwards, we would quickly see that that gate is not ready for prime time. There's no light. So what we're going to need to do is create a gate where the ready light actually is high up above. Because that way you'll know right away which gate is next. So we're going to go ahead and create some gates that have high visibility. Skipping along, that's pretty funny. Poof. So let's go ahead and do just that. So to do that, I'm going to have to send you back over to our boy Phoenix while I set up my my Blender file. Oh gosh, my head sure is lopsided now that I've gotten rid of all my hair. All right. Welcome back. So we're going to just create some gates, and it doesn't really matter what size they are, but what I'm thinking is we'll create one gate post, and then we'll just be allowed to put them apart if they need to be apart. So with that, we're going to go ahead and do an x-axis mirror. There we are. And I can't remember which axis is, I think it's this axis here, right? That's the one. And from this, we should be able to create a gate. And we're going to want to understand that it's going to hook that way, right? Yeah, away from the camera. So we'll just create a little hook here. Trying to think about the best way to do this, and I think I actually want to use a circle. So let's do just that. We're going to want to make sure that we understand which direction the faces are currently set up in. So there we are. That's pretty good. And the idea here is that this circle won't be a complete circle. It'll be a partial, like this maybe. Like this. Yeah, something like that. And we're going to want to make that have a nice, rich inset, something like that. There we go. And this will be where we put our activation light. So we'll be able to see it from wherever we need to see it. But I think we need to put in some decorations. So let's do that. I will just pick some faces here, turn off that inner layer, and then we will just put in some cuts here and here. I guess it's better to do them one at a time. There we are. That way we'll be able to see Oh, that didn't work. Try that again. That way we'll be able to see the light even if we're not coming straight at it. But it does have an issue where it is creating some unusually shaped slits. I think that's probably fine, but I do want to bevel them so they're a little bit less square. That's probably okay. We'll find out soon. Oh no, it's not okay. Look at that. It's not a big issue though. We can always just fix it. There we are. Good enough. So we can then just go back in, select everything, mark it as smooth, turn on the auto smoothing, and that'll give us some fun here and there. But I want us to have a little bit of a better shape to this. So we are going to reshape this. There we are. To be a little bit more interesting. So we're going to use the sharp fall off. And push that in, and then we're going to be pulling this out, but only the connected. Maybe switch back to soft for this one. Yeah. There we are. So now we've got kind of an organic shape. It's kind of a strange one. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to look okay. We're going to want to pull some faces back so that we get some mass here. Just extrude it just straight back a little bit. And then we'll edit this guy so that it looks like they're mounting properly into that bracket shape. More or less. I think that's probably fine for now. Lastly, we're going to want to create some kind of extension here that just feels like that. There we are. I think we're also going to want to do a curl. Trying to figure out how I want this to look. And the answer is, I don't know. Yeah, that's probably fine. We'll just go with a little bit of a final bevel here. And here. And we're going to want to shape this just a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to want to put a foot on it. All right, so that should do. Probably do some more decorations later. Let's go ahead and just do a tiny bit more decoration right now because I would like to have an insert here. So that I have a place to glow with the ready light. There we are. And now let's export it to Unreal. Boom. Go on over. We should get an import. There it is. Import that. Go find it. It should be down here in static mesh. Gate. Some gate. That's fine. And so let's go into one of these gates and start to put it in. Just edit the blueprint for the gate. Edit the blueprint. Edit the blueprint. Thank you. And then over here, can we just change the mesh out? Dum 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 dum. I don't know where the actual mesh is. Kind of looks like Mactonite's head. I don't know who Mactonite is, but I presume that they're very handsome. That's interesting. Where the heck is the gate? Huh. Well, we'll just go ahead and add it. No biggie. Gate. Oh, come on. Gate. Der fuck? Alright, so apparently it's not a gate. I can't just add it. It's a static mesh that I need, right? So here's a static mesh. It's inside the cube for some reason, whatever. And here's where I get to choose it. So you can see how there's like a static mesh that's missing here. So for some reason the cube doesn't actually allow you to choose a static mesh. There must be something special about it, where it has special rules. Anyway, we're not going to want to put it inside the cube. We're going to want to put it inside the static mesh. And so obviously it's not the right size, but that's okay. We can tweak it. There we go. Actually, we got pretty close to the same size as what we were working with just by eyeballing it, but could use a little bit more work and some angle snapping, I do say. There we go. Let's go ahead and scale it up to 1.5. There we are. And we'll move it down to 0, or just a touch under 0. There we are. Copy, paste it, and then move it across and rotate it. Delete these two cubes, don't need them. Now the only issue is that these don't currently have a collider attached to them. If we do that, do we set the collider inside the static mesh object? I think we do. Collision complexity. Use complex as simple. We'll come back to it later and make a better option for us then. So we're going to go back into the gate here. And as you can see, the lights aren't in the right spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to start moving these lights into the right spots. I think we're going to want to have 2 ready lights and 2 of the other lights, which we'll get to eventually here. So there we are, 2 ready lights, and then we're going to want 2 passed lights. The only issue is that these overlap, so we are currently working with 4 overlapping lights. We're only going to have 2 on at a time. That's still a lot of overlapping lights. I think the ready lights, we'll just leave it like this for now. But it does mean that we're going to have to change the event graph to turn them on like in series. So we're going to want to just add another one here. And I think we can just double these up like this. Should work, I think. We're going to find out pretty soon here. Crunch. Okay, so that didn't work. You can see that there is 1 ready light and both passed lights. Both ready lights and 1 passed light are on. And then when I do this, okay, so there's a lot of work that needs to happen here. So it doesn't look like that actually works the way that I just did that. So let's close this, don't need it. Let's reopen the gate, edit gate blueprint, here it is. This doesn't appear to work, which is why do they let it happen if it doesn't work? Why do they Oh, maybe it does work and I just didn't finish. Yeah, that should be it. And the other thing we need to do is here in the passing section, we need to turn off the ready elements. So copy paste. Ready. Ready. Let's try it. Oh, well, we got one ready light. We got two ready lights. That looks like it's correct. Let's just go ahead and pass through. Bleep. All right, so that worked. Well, I'd like sound effects and shit later, but you can see that we can see it quite clearly. That wide scoop that we created is quite visible from the side. That's good. I don't even think we need the holes. We might add a particle effect or a hologram or something there to really sell it later. It's just very much a placeholder while we get things figured out. But let's go ahead and make sure that the lights aren't on for this other guy over here. Oh, good. They all seem to be off, which is correct. And if we pass through, good, good, good. So basically, that is a functioning set of gateways. It's a little bit silly because they don't actually have anything to do yet. They're not like race 1, congratulations, or anything like that. But they are getting to the point where you can sort of see that maybe this could be a game someday. Wouldn't that be nice? Now this this untextured surface is really pretty crap. We're going to have to start coming up with some greeble textures, but I don't want to do that today. To be honest, all I want to do today is sleep, but I guess greeble textures are probably a better choice than sleep, at least while I'm streaming. So let me pull up an art program here. .1024 by 1024. Save it in the right spot, which I believe would be in... I have no idea where this shit is. Navigate to folder in Explorer. Unreal projects. Oh, it's under C users. Oh, it's one of those. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. I shouldn't have put it there, but whatever. So we're going to create a new directory, which we're going to call textures. And we're going to go ahead and put a texture in there, which we're going to call greebles. All right, so now that we've got a texture called greebles, I'll bring you back. Boom. And this is going to be our greeble texture. Isn't it beautiful? Now we're going to actually put in some vaguely greeble-y things and see what we can get out of it. So let's just go ahead and use a nice fat brush here. And then we'll copy paste that and move it. And then we will go ahead and tilt. Create a tilt brush. No, let's not do it like that yet. Let's create a normal brush like this. And then we'll tilt. And then we will cut. It's too thin, so let's go back. Let's select a bigger box. Tilt. Cut. Cut. And then just choop. And I don't know, let's go ahead and just use some dots or something. Have I got some dots? Here's some dots. Dots. There. Beautiful greebles. I think you'll all agree. So we're going to just go into the texture that we've got for this. Texture. That's not it. Texture. We're going to go ahead and create a new material, I think. If we go over into materials, we got a mech skin. Let's just copy paste it and create a machine skin, which we're going to make very similar to the mech skin. Just open that up. And you can see that what we've got for the mech skin is this kind of painted thing. What we're going to want to do is the same basic idea, but we're going to want to lerp between some textures instead of just two colors. So let's bring in a texture, which I don't know how to do. Is it a texture object? I think that's probably it, maybe. Yeah, and we'll switch this out for our new texture that we just created, greebles. We're going to need to sample it, though, I think. Texture sample. There we are. I think that it'll actually sample it automatically if we want it to, but whatever. And we're just going to pull that in here. Let's multiply it. Let's go ahead and multiply it. Boop. There we are. Error. You can't multiply two colors? Float 3 and float 4, is it? Fine. So the UVs that we're using here are probably the default UVs. I think we're going to need to have the texture coordinate here, which I believe this is the right one. Let's just double check it. We'll just slot that in. Because we're going to want to change that a little bit, but that's fine. For now, we'll save it. And we'll take a look. It seems to be correct. Let's see what it looks like on a box. Yeah, there we are. That's correct. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to multiply this texture coordinate. Here's the question. Is it going to loop? Yay, it looped. Look at that. All right, so that's fine. We're going to go ahead and just call that fine and see how it feels. Feels pretty spotty. Look at how spotty that is. So the reason it's that spotty is because the material uses a noise system to create spots. And the way that it does that is it uses this vertex color setup, where if the vertex colors are black, I think, is it the redder they are, the less... Red either is more or less noisy, and we're going to want to replace that here with... No, let's not replace it. Let's just go paint it. So open that up. I have to reopen Blender. Give me a second. Welcome back. So basically red is a color we're going to want to use here to try and define where this will be discolored. But I think that in order for that to be the case, no, I guess it's fine. We'll just do it like this. So here's Vertex Paint. We're just going to paint it black in the places where we don't want it to have spots. Because it's painted white by default. So black will be nice and clean, right? Nope, it's not working. No, fine. Here we are. So we'll just Soften that up a little bit. And let's go ahead and create some gray for areas that might have some, but not too much. And we'll leave the white for areas that'll probably have plenty. So export that. The fuck? Weird. Grind, 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 and... Huh, I don't see any change. That's interesting. Did it not re-import? It says it re-imported. That's weird. Let's go ahead and open up this material and change things a little bit so that it will just use the vertex color as the color we multiply by. Don't really see any signs that that's working. You can see how it's all white. It's all spotty white. These spots should be black. It doesn't look like the vertex painting worked. That's interesting. I mean, it's clearly painted, right? Okay, so the vertex colors aren't being imported correctly. Can't do shit about that, can I? I mean, there's nothing I can... If it's not exporting the vertex colors, it's not exporting the vertex colors. Pink Hair is suggesting that I plug the vertex colors into the output. Yeah, I think that's what I did. I think it's just that I didn't notice he'd set it for a little while. So I guess we'll just go straight to the output with this and see what happens. I mean, it's clearly not using the red that we painted, so it doesn't look like this is exporting vertex colors. It's also got a black square. What's with this? Why is it a black square? Oh, that was weird. This is strange. Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and do it a different way. I did not expect it to just plain old not work. That's quite a surprise. Maybe there is an import option. Let's go ahead and check. So if we go down into static meshes and select the gate, is there like a... Well, I mean, it clearly thinks there are vertex colors, right? Look at that. So if it thinks there are vertex colors, sprite particle emitters. You're using the alpha output from the vertex color node? Yeah, is that really the issue? I still don't see any red. See? These edges should be blood red. Because the alpha should only matter if there's like transparency set. But this says access point for the material to the outputs of color modules affecting sprite particle emitters. So this isn't the vertex color of the mesh. That's the vertex color of the colors. That's the vertex color of the particle emitter. That's what the particle emitter uses to pass colors to a particle system. It's not the mesh's vertex color. At least it doesn't seem to be. I mean, it's a constant, so might as well look it up. Unreal vertex color mesh. They're really focused on this mesh paint utility. Okay, so they're using the vertex color, but it's a different color. Like, it's not red. We simply need to multiply it by a vertex color expression. But this one is red. Theirs is not red. Theirs is gray. But if we go over here, vert colors. Yeah, that looks like our painting just didn't work. I wonder whether they threw away our vertex colors because they were coming from Blender and they really want us to use this vertex painting tool. Is that what's going on? How do I paint it? When you switch to mesh paint mode, make sure to select the colors tab. Clearly I'm not in the right setup here. I think that it's trying to tell me to paint them in the game world here. Wow, this is really stupid. I don't want to paint the individual meshes. I want to... so that works. But I would rather have the mesh colors that I'm trying to send in from abroad. Why would I want the mesh colors here? I mean, I understand why. It would be very helpful. But I don't want to have to do this to each gate individually. I want to have base colors. Pink Air is suggesting that maybe it's just that Blender is exporting them in a different volume. Like, 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 255 or something. I don't think so, because these are white. And in Blender, they were from black to white. So even if it was from 0 to 255 versus 0 to 1, there would still be some black. I really think that they want me to paint this shit. I don't want to. Unreal import vertex colors. Is there any way to import vertex colors? Is there any way to import vertex colors? Jackie, do you mean this? No, that explicitly does not help. That's how to paint it inside of Unreal. Thank you, Jackie. Okay, here it is. During the import process, open up the advanced section and replace vertex colors. So can I re-import this? I want to re-import it with new options. How do I do that? Do I have to delete it and then re-import it? Import settings. Here they are. Mesh. Yeah. Path Tracer suggests re-importing with a new file and just picking the same file. Yeah, I think I can just change the values here. Come on. So here's the vertex override color, which I don't want. Import options. Override all vertex. Replace. Yeah, there we are. That's it right there. So now all I have to do is re-import it. Look at that. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. All right, so for some reason, it by default just ignores the vertex colors. That's friggin' weird, but now that I know what happens, I guess it's fine. So now that that's happened, I can grab this material and do some refitting, because clearly that was just an attempt. So the fact that this is like a particle effect thing is irrelevant. It's still the vertex color. So I don't know why they bring up particle systems so much, but it's not involved. So we'll just go ahead and save that. Here we go. So here we can see roughly how it's going to look. And you can see that we've got a lot of mess. And so we're going to go ahead and fix that up a little bit. What we've got is local position, multiply, noise. This multiply value just needs to be a different value. I think 0.5 might be way too much. I think I had to go the other direction and make like 0.03 or something. Yeah, look, it's super, super tiny. So it was 0.03. Let's bring it down to 0.005. Pink Hair says that they've had a lot of trouble getting it to work on their computers, which I understand. All right, so here we can see that we've got some blotching and some stuff like that. Looks good. 5 is obviously too much of a multiple. Let's go ahead and make this into a property. Tiling. There we are. Bring that down to 2.8. And let's see, what else do we need? We need to have a normal map, but I don't believe... Is there... So in Unity, you can create a normal map just by giving it a height map, and there's actually like a built-in convert to normal map option. I don't believe Unreal has that option. In which case I might not bother. It might just be too annoying to create normal maps. I suppose there's also a possibility that there is just a node height map. Normal from height map. Okay. Never mind. There is, in fact, a normal from height map. I'll just go ahead and add that in. Height map T2D, normal map intensity, height map UV offset. Coordinates, height map channel selector, result, generates a normal map. So if we were to create this texture object and drop that in, we would get a normal map out of it, and then we could just grab a texture sample. No? Float? The fuck? This isn't a normal map, it's a float. That's interesting. Well, they're saying that we should be doing it the same way I'm suggesting we do it. I guess the sample is already built in because we got the UV happening. Okay, so this must just be the normal. Okay, well that's definitely added some stuff here. You see this jitter? This jitter is due to the height map being scaled way, way too high. That's an interesting problem. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I guess it doesn't matter. We're just kind of half-assing it anyway, right? But we can reduce the height map intensity. The default is 8, so we'll just bring it down to, I don't know, 3. There we are. That's better. So the other thing we've got is we've got these blotches, and the height map just kind of continues across the blotches. We either need the blotches to also be colored, or we need to kill the height map. And I think we're going to want to do both. So instead of this, let's multiply the 3 by the inverted alpha. So yeah, see how now it's nice and flat? That's more like it. There's lots left we could do, but I just wanted to see whether or not we could get a material that didn't leave it quite so flat looking. And I think that we have a long way to go, but the basics are now starting to exist. Trying to decide whether or not that noise is too much or painted wrong or something. We'll have to think about it. I got stuck in the rocks. I'm going to go ahead and go around this one because I want to see how it looks with no no lights. Unfortunately, since we're using local space, the damage is the same every time. Let's just take a second and switch over to using global space. Since these aren't going to move, we can use global position. No? There it is. Why are some of these bright red? They're not bright red in the examples, and that kind of concerns me. Alright, so now that it's world coordinates instead of local coordinates, you can see that it's a slightly different setup. And it should be different for each of these, so they're no longer repeating the same exact things over and over. And it's clear that's true. Good, good, good. But there's a little bit too much noise. Let's see if we can bring the noise down a little bit further. Just punch this from -10 to -15. No? No, I just need the noise to be changed. My bad. So this is going to be -5. And then we're going to want the noise here to be lowered? I'm not sure. This is something that I haven't done in a while, and whoever set it up originally didn't really do a very clear job of it. So that didn't reduce the amount, that just changed how damaged it looks. It made it so that the damage is a softer damage, which isn't really a terrible idea, but it's something where instead of a multiplier, we're going to need to use a remap, which is not a big deal. We were using a remap for something else, so this is just another one of those. The only problem with the remap value range is that you've got to have like manual values for every single one of the possible setups, and it's really quite obnoxious to have this many things in your setup. You should just be able to put it right in without, so I'm talking like these. You have to create like millions and millions of these. So that reduced it a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring this down from -1 to -2. And that should bring it down to much more reserved scratches. Yeah. -5. Why is that coming back up? Oh, is the value from... Whatever, it's fine. We're going to have to do a better job of it later. Look at, we got so much damage on this side. 0 should be less damage. Like 0 is the undamaged thing. And we're multiplying the vertex color by our noise value. So the noise value should be between 0 and 1. Oh, we actually can set up a scale separate from that. Yeah, so let's go ahead. The output min is -1 on this noise value, and I think that's what's causing us the issues. Let's just bring it down to 0 instead of -1. Yeah, that's more in tune with what I was looking for here. So I'm not going to say that this is beautiful or anything. I'm just trying to get a handle on it. I suppose in the long run I should try some other stuff, but this is like, I should like paint it up in whatever the current generation painting program is. I don't remember, rather than doing this half-assed stuff. And maybe I will. But one of the core issues here is simply that it's all the same material, and that's not very realistic. We'll deal with that later. The texture needs to be more thought out and all that jazz. Can't be bothered today. I think we're going to stop. Progma says, Perko, hello. I am going to be stopping, so you have great timing. If you have any questions, I'll hang around for a couple of minutes for chat, but I only streamed for an hour and a half today because I just wanted to do one thing, and I did it. Hooray for me. I learned a lot. I got to let it boil in my brain for a little while. To be specific, until Wednesday. So, see you then.